welcome to you. Um, this class is being recorded. This is being streamed live on Insight Timer. And today's yoga is going to be the yoga of boundaries. And I was thinking about, I've got all kinds of things to share with you all. And I was thinking about the fact that this goes so incredibly well with our recent studies about the yoga of self. So I'm going to mention some of the stuff we've already talked about with the yoga of self and layer in some stuff about boundaries, and there's some really cool things to share. So coming to a seat, let me re-angle my computer. I usually I'm really careful about checking my camera angle, blah, blah, blah. And I was doing my own yoga meditation practice and I forgot to do it. So come to a seat because we're going to sit together for a bit while I talk about a few different things. Okay. So a nice easy seat on your mat. Hands are on the knees, close the eyes and just drop down. Dropping down into this moment, into this yoga practice, the yoga of boundaries. And let's start with our Sufi grind. So just making circles with the body, really feeling down into the sits bones. I'm going counterclockwise right now. So I want you go with me and go counterclockwise. And you can leave the eyes closed or you can leave them open. And I would like you to envision a fun house. So you might be like, what is she talking about? So in the States, we have these county fairs that move from place to place. And they have like the Ferris wheel and they have, all these different games and rides. And one of the things that they often have is a fun house. It's usually 2 stories. And you walk inside and there's a variety of different experiences. Like you'll walk into a room and they'll have all these distorted mirrors where you look into the mirrors, and you see yourself and you might look really short and fat or really long and thin or just, very, very different than your normal perception of yourself. And then you'll keep walking. And the floor will move, like the floor might heave upwards and go downwards. And you're walking forward trying to keep yourself steady, right? The floor is going up, the floor is going down. And then you keep going and you'll find that part of the experience is the floor shakes side to side, like a jig-jag, kind of back and forth. Go ahead and switch directions of the circles. And making yourself kind of bring the head down and around. And I was thinking of this fun house as I was thinking about this class today, the yoga of boundaries and the yoga of self. Okay? Because this fun house kind of reminded me of the yoga of self when we're looking outside into the world to validate ourselves. The posts we put on Facebook, the feedback from friends, from loved ones, from significant others, that determines very often how we feel about ourselves. And that's kind of the funhouse mirror, right? Because sometimes we might look into that mirror, making bigger circles now, circling the hips. Pressing into the knees as you go in the opposite direction, really waking up Muladhara chakra, the root chakra. So when the world is kind, you might look into that funhouse mirror and see a beautiful reflection of yourself. And when the world is unkind, come on and sit up, hands on the knees. And let's rock it back, bringing the chin into the chest, open the back part, and inhale forward. So when the world is not kind, you might look into that funhouse mirror and your image to your own perception just looks ugly, looks horrible, right? Because you're filtering it through this feedback from the world. You're relying upon the world to give you validation, to provide you with your sense of self, okay? So with this, and then with this sense of self, we're reaching out, trying to, have those relationships in our lives validate us. And let's bring our right ear to our right shoulder. And then the chin comes down to the chest, left ear to the left shoulder. And then chin down to the chest, right ear to the right shoulder. So here we are in this fun house, looking at this reflection in the mirror of ourselves, sometimes looking really odd, uncomfortable, unrecognizable maybe. And then the floor is shaking and heaving and moving. So the shaking and heaving, right? The shaking and heaving coming onto the hands and knees. All right, so is the music too loud? All right, Tanya, I heard that you, there we go. I don't even know if you can hear that now. We're, knees are under hips, hands are under shoulders. Is that better? All right, lift the tailbone up and arch. So are you now not hearing music? Is it too low? We're figuring this all out, y'all. Okay, you still hear it? Okay, good. All right, so hands under shoulders. And inhale, lift up. So we're in this fun house and the ground is undulating, right? Depending on what happens in the world. And then the ground is also shaking back and forth. And what I was thinking about is that this is, we've got possibly this reliance upon, and go ahead and make circles with that tail, circles with the head. Or you can just keep doing cat and cow if you're like, what is that? What is that wiggliness? So we're relying upon others possibly to validate us, relying upon our relationship with others. And then to make things even less steady, we then possibly have poor boundaries. And this makes our fun house, even more unsteady. Curl the toes under, come on back. And at this point, you might be looking around in this fun house thinking, this is fun? Is this supposed to be fun? How do I get out of this fun house? I don't like it. Another breath here in your child's pose with the toes curled under. Anahatasana, hips are down towards the heels. Hands under shoulders, curl the toes, lift the hips down, down. Walk your dog out. Settling heels down. Plugging the hands into the mat. Gliding the shoulders apart. And breathe here in your down dog. Breathe. And we talked a couple of days ago about the yoga of self. Another breath here in your down dog. And then walk those feet forward, coming through nice and slow. Coming into your first forward bend. We talked about the yoga of self and how the importance of building a vertical relationship with yourself, relying upon that to validate yourself, meaning roll it up. We're grounding down more and more into who we are. Thinking of the koshas, the 5 sheaths of the body. Hands shine forward, soften the knees, lift the toes, settle the toes down. versus reaching out to our horizontal relationships, reaching out for validation from our children or our parents or our significant other or our friends. Reaching those arms out and up, lift up. Hands to the heart space. And another image that I thought of, inhale, lift up, reach up, is imagining ourselves as a tree, okay? So think about that. You got your branches up here, you're lifting up, and all trees want to be rooted, right? Hands down the midline. Inhale those arms out and up, reach up, lift up. And then bend over to the side. And inhale, lift up. Exhale, other direction. Inhale, stretch up, lift up. So here you are as this tree, wanting to be rooted down. But let's say you never went to tree school, or you were never taught by other trees of how to root yourself down. So come on down into your forward fold. So what you do in order to feel steady, in order to feel sure, is you send your roots out to the other trees in your forest, right? Friend trees, significant other trees, soften those knees, and then roll it up. Arms reach out, lift up, okay? So you're reaching out to the trees, to the bushes, to whatever is in your mycorrhizal network. I don't know if y'all did that meditation with me. It's Beyond Wild. If you haven't heard of that, you have to check out one of my meditations. Inhale, lift up. So you're reaching these roots out, and then when the wind comes, feel the wind like blowing you. The wind is blowing you. Your roots like tighten on those other trees, right? You're grabbing on to what you can hold. Inhale, reach up. And then exhale, dive down. And there might be times when the other trees in your life are like, oh my gosh, you're strangling me, you know, or those ties might break, or they might grab onto you. Inhale, arch up halfway, flat back. Exhale, release down. Step it back, down dog. Walk your dog out. Okay? And all in all, this is like you're in the fun house of trees. Lift that right leg up, because you're all, you know, if you're in relationship with others like yourself, bring that right leg back and up, stretch it up. Crank the knee open, making circles, and maybe make circles with that knee. Bringing movement into that right hip. Because all of you are holding on to each other in order to be validated. Step it forward. Inhale, lift it up. And then, for whatever reason, you come to go to the school of trees, or you experience, you know, you become in relationship with a wise tree, and the wise tree says to you, there's this thing called a taproot. Okay? Breathing here in your Vera 1. Another breath. And step off onto that right foot. And let's come into our Vrikshasana. So grounding that right leg down and bring the left leg up. Remember, the left leg can be anywhere, left foot can be anywhere, but on the side of the knee. The only place you don't want it is on the side of the knee. Hands at the heart space. So really feel yourself digging down that taproot. And this is something that trees truly have. This huge root, central root that digs down deep into the earth. Okay. Breathing here, and then you can bring the arms up overhead. So this is the equivalent, digging your taproot down. It's the equivalent of building your vertical relationship with yourself. Trees sway, it's totally fine. If you sway, if you fall, another breath. And then bring that knee into the chest. Hug the knee in. And then set that foot back and bring the hands in and squat down. Okay, another breath. And then step back into your Virabhadrasana 1. Beautiful open heart. Feel that squeeze through the adrenals. And then hands come down. So you realize as your taproot grows down into the earth that you're out of the fun house, right? Because you're not grabbing onto others to validate you. You're grounding down into your own essence. Breathing here in your down dog. And if you'd like, glide forward into plank, or you can always come down into child's pose or rest in down dog. If you're with me in plank, breathing here, feeling the heat build in the belly, stacking bone on bone. This is great for bone density, strengthening our bones. Keep breathing, don't hold the breath. And then lift the tailbone up. And then glide forward back into plank. Breathing here, draw the low belly in, tuck the tail. Beautiful flat back heart. Another breath. And come on down, Ashtanga Pranam or Chaturanga. Ground the hips. Hands, come on up. Yeah, Michelle, I am in a different room, so the room's echoey. What to do? What to do with that? Hands, come on down. It's part of the nice thing about having hardwood floors, right? They do echo a lot. I wouldn't say that's nice. It's lovely having hardwood floors, but they are echoey. Exhale down. Inhale, lift. Exhale down. Inhale, lift up into your Bhujangasana. Come on up onto the knees. Press the hands. And sit those hips back. Palms press. Breathing into the underarms. Curl the toes, lift the hips. So we've talked a lot about our fun house, our reality, coming up into our down dog. Head hangs heavy. So all of this uncertainty, right? All of this instability, if you haven't figured out how best to dig your taproot down. Breathing here in your down dog. And then float that left leg back and up, stretch it up, reach it up. And then we can crank the knee open and make circles with that knee. Really bringing movement, synovial fluid into that hip, keeping our hips nice and healthy. And then float that leg up and come on and step into your warrior one. So without having a strong sense of self, and speaking of strong sense of self, we can add in a mudra. And the mudra is ahamkara. Ahamkara mudra is when we take our thumb over our index finger. Okay, our thumb represents our individuality. Okay, so this is ahamkara mudra. So we can add that to our Vira 1. Hips are squared forward. Breathing here, bless you.
Thank you.
We've got Vermet off camera. Breathing here in your Virabhadrasana 1. Another breath. And then step off onto that left foot and we'll come into our tree pose on this side. So good grounded energy down the foot and then bring that leg in and the arms can be out and up. Breathing here in our tree. So sending that root down. So boundaries can be really hard when we don't have a clear sense of self. And what I ask you to do, what I invite you to do here is start just asking yourself. Remember, this is so much of our practice. Another breath. I fell out of it. Release tree. Maybe release your mudra. Bring the knee into the chest. Hugging the knee in. Another breath. And then step it back into your Virabhadrasana 1. Lifting up. In your Vira 1. Breathing here. Another breath. It feels like we did something else and I've forgotten what it was. What did we do? Oh yeah, that one exactly. Thank you very much. So stepping back and bringing the hands into the heart space. And then lifting up and stepping back into our Virabhadrasana 1. And hands either side of the foot, come on down. So with this Swadhyaya, self-study, asking yourself, what is my relationship with boundaries? How do boundaries show up in my life? Stepping our feet back, walking our feet out, breathing and glide forward. Coming into plank pose. Remember, you can always come into child's pose. Breathing here. Another breath. And then inhale, lift the hips down, drop. Exhale, glide forward. Plank pose. So come on down, knees, chest, chin. So all of this talk we've had, ground the hips, about, reaching out to validate ourselves, hands under shoulders, inhale, lift up. Validate ourselves through our relationships, through the world. You can then understand why it's so hard to have really healthy boundaries, right? Come on down. Because when you're constantly asking the world, asking friends, asking loved ones, am I okay? Am I okay? Am I loved? Am I worthy? And then when they ask you to do something for them, it's hard to say no. Inhale, lift, Bhujangasana, right? We don't have that taproot. We're rooted into these fellow trees, and when these fellow trees ask for something, we feel like we need them for our balance. Inhale, lift. And it's like, the subconscious thing that we're thinking is if I say no to this fellow tree that I rely upon, and when I go to them for validation, for messaging that yes, I'm okay, yes, I'm lovable, yes, I'm worthy, they might in their anger or their frustration with me, they might say, no, you're not lovable, you're not worthy. And that's really, really, really scary. So widen the knees, touch the toes, come on back into your child. And if you'd like, take Ahamkara, which is that mudra, thumb over the middle, what is that called again? Knuckle. Middle digit, what the heck is that called? I've forgotten. It's between the first and second knuckle. Breathing here and just release down into this inquiry of what your boundaries are. And a few, a month or two ago, we did a lot of work around self-worth and how that shows up in your life. A lot of us feel like we have to run in order to be loved, in order to be worthy, right? We have to be constantly earning love. And as a result, our boundaries could be very weak. Breathing. And we've been raised to please, taught to please people. And that can also make it really hard to say no. Another few breaths. Just going inside, exploring our relationship with boundaries. And then plugging the hands in. Curl the toes, lift the hips. Down dog. Walk your feet out. Head hangs heavy. Another breath. And float that right leg back and up. Stretch it up. You know, the other thing I was thinking about with this fun house, stepping that right foot forward, and let's waterfall those arms up, coming into our Vera 2. Okay? So the hips are squared towards the long edge of the mat, knees over ankle. Really settle down into your Vera 2 without rolling onto the inner part, the inner side of the left ankle. Stretching those fingers out. Breathing here in your Vera 2. So I was thinking more about this fun house. When you're walking through the fun house, straighten the leg and glide. And come on down. Coming into your Trikonasana. So how in control do you feel when you're in this fun house, right? How grounded, how centered do you feel in this fun house? And one of the things that's fascinating about human beings, you can drop that arm down and around to bind if you'd like. We're going to step off into balancing half moon. So maybe you want to stay bound in balancing half moon, or maybe you're like, no. So with balancing half moon, if you have a block, you can grab your block. So you're going to kind of work that foot forward so you can step off onto that right foot. And you're going to bring your hands about 12 inches in front of the foot, now to the side, and come on into your Ardha Chandrasana. Okay, if the bind doesn't work for you, then just float the hand up. Pour energy down that left leg. Breathing here. Another breath. And then step it back. And lift it up. Vera 1. And hands come down. So there's been some fascinating research that has been done about our need and our desire for control. And this is literally a cradle to grave kind of thing. Breathing here in your down dog. And then flip that right leg back and up. Stretch it up. Reach it up. And settle that right leg down. And stretch the left leg back and up. Stretch it up. Reach it up. And step that left leg forward. I was about to have us redo the right side. Set your feet. Take your time. And waterfall that arm up. Settling into Vera 2. So knees over ankle. So I've read this in a book called Stumbling Upon Happiness, which is a really great read. And the author referenced a study that talked about little babies. I want to say they were maybe 3 months old, 4 months old. Breathing here in your Vera 2. And then we straighten that leg and we glide into our triangle pose. Bringing that hand down. Remember, you can put the hand on the shin, you can put the hand on the block, you can put the hand on the hip if you feel like that's better for you. You put the hand on the ground. Top arm reaches up. And then if you'd like, you can bring that arm down and around to bind. Reaching for that, the left thigh. And look up. Breathing here. So what they did with these little tiny babies, they had a mogul. that when the string was pulled, the mogul played music. And these babies loved the mogul. They loved the music. But what was really interesting is they step off onto that left foot. Oh, this is my weak side. Coming into your balancing half moon, possibly with your bind. Ardha Chandrasana. Remember, the left hand can be on a block. You can release the bind if you took it. Pouring energy down that right leg, out the heel. So for some of these babies, and then step it back, lifting into your Vira 1. The string was pulled for them, and the music was played. Okay, and then they measured how long, the babies cried, how calm the babies were. For some of these babies, and these are little babies, they don't have fine motor control. They put these funny little mittens on their hands, which were all soft, and then they had the string covered in Velcro. Bring the hands down either side of the foot and step it back. So these babies could pull the string themselves. So when they wanted to listen to the music, they could kind of back their hands at it and pull the string to listen to music. Head hangs heavy. And these babies were happier. Because even at 3 months of age, widen the knees, touch the toes, sit back. Come on down. Reaching forward. Taking your Ahamkara, if you'd like, thumb over the middle knuckle, digit, whatever it's called, of the index finger. And just release down. So even as tiny babies, we want to be able to control our world. Okay, we want to be able to control our world. And now we go back to being in the fun house, looking out to others to validate us, looking out to the world to tell us if we're okay. That is not control. Tremendously unsettling, right? That's why we need to learn to set our taproot down. That's the way out of the funhouse. Another breath. And come on up. And let's come on to the back. Hugging the knees into the chest. Rock it out left to right. Roll the head on the neck. Roll the feet on the ankles. Have this feel really good. Let's do our Kundalini twisting flow. So with that, we're going to extend the left leg long. We're going to bring the right knee into our chest. Shoulders are down the back and relaxed. And then we're going to twist on the exhale. And the invitation is to have each movement be tied to the breath. But if you ever find a place where you're like, oh my gosh, it feels so good here, I want to hang out, then hang out. As I've said to you all time and time again, what I offer you are just suggestions. You are the pilot. You are the conductor, the guide, the person who makes the decisions about your yoga practice. I'm just a guide. So we inhale the knee into the chest, the left knee this time into the chest, and we twist to the right on the exhale. Inhale the knee into the chest. And exhale that leg long. So just follow your own breath, closing the eyes. Going back and forth. Going inside. Drawing awareness to yourself, to your relationship with boundaries. And we're going to do 2 more days of this. So hopefully you'll be able to be with me on Tuesday and Wednesday. If not, they will be recorded. And I'll get them on YouTube so that you can continue the exploration of boundaries on your own time frame. Just bringing out the body. We inhale when the knee comes into the chest, and we exhale on the twist. Let's do one more other side. And as always, you know, I love appreciative inquiry. My invitation to you, and we'll talk more about this in class tomorrow, as we talk more about how to establish boundaries that work for you. But I invite you to start exploring, you know, where in your life do you have healthy boundaries? Soles of the feet on the earth, windshield wiper those knees back and forth. You know, where is it in life that you have healthy boundaries? Where is it easy for you to say, okay, this is what works. You know, no, I'm not going to do that. And what does that look like? And really starting to unpack and understand why it's okay for you to say no in these particular parts of your life, so that you can better harvest those learnings into other parts of your life. So let's do happy baby. We don't do happy baby enough. So with happy baby, lift the tailbone up and then roll the back body down so the lumbar spine is nice and flat, and then bring the knees up, flex the feet, and we reach between the elbows between the knees, and you can just take peace fingers around the big toes if that speaks best to you. Your spine is naturally going to roll up, you know, so do your best to keep that sacrum down and flat. Soles of the feet are pulling back, so they're like parallel to the ceiling, if that makes any sense at all. Like the toes aren't pointed, feet are flat. And keep drawing down, drawing those knees down, really breathing into the inner groin. And keep trying to glue that sacrum down. Another breath. And then release. Hug the knees into the chest. And extend those legs out and just settle down into your Shavasana. And if there's one last pose where you're like, oh, I'd really love to do blah, blah, blah. Well, then go ahead and do blah, blah, blah. Whatever that might be. You know, I want you to really feel good here. Relaxing down. Releasing down, the whole body softens down. And letting go of the thinking mind. Feet flop open, palms are up. And feel how when you take care of yourself like that, you're sending your taproot down. So today's poem is The Weaver in the Loom from Dana Faulds. And Dana writes, sit here for a bit. Place yourself outside the frenzied pace of life. Slow down long enough to appreciate birds in flight. Water drops like prism in the grass and countless shades of green. Step off the fast track and listen to the sound of breath and bird song. Take a moment to just be, and in the being, know the whole of this creation. Mystery and madness, passion and profanity. Know it all is one stunning tapestry. Sit still, and the thin line between sacred and profane simply fades away. There is nothing then to reconcile. All the disparate threads are woven on the loom of life. Sit here for a bit, and your unique place in the pattern becomes clear. Take the still point with you when it's time to walk away. Make the choice to see affinity, to watch the picture taking shape as thread joins thread. Dare to be the weaver and the loom, creator and creation, the sower and the sown. In a moment of stillness, all that came before is seen as one. So soaking that up, allowing yourself to be the weaver and the loom, creator and creation, the sower and the sown. Feeling yourself here in relationship with yourself. The most important relationship you have in the world is the one with yourself. Breathing. And then as you're ready, bringing movement into the body, wiggling fingers and toes. Rolling the hands on the wrists, rolling the head on the neck. And then as you're ready, rolling over onto the right side, cradling the heart. Wrapping your arms around yourself, and you can just rock it out. Giving yourself such a big hug, sending yourself so much love, so much love. And then carefully pressing yourself up into an easy seat. And bringing the hands together, and we'll take a nice big inhale to Om out. And namaste. Jai Bhagwan. Thank you so much for joining in.